great day to be alive. I was considering some things that, have you ever had in your meditation time, you just think about someone in the Word, and how was it for them? You know, this fellow that I'm thinking of, the Bible never even gives him a name. He's just known as the madman. This is what I was thinking. I was just meditating on that scripture and thinking, how was it for him and those around him? How did it really go? I just call this the madman who lived by the sea. There was a man who lived by the sea. He wasn't very nice. His hair was full of lice. He snuck into the village. He went to steal and to pillage. Because he wasn't healthy, he couldn't be stealthy. He would stop in the street and get that look in his eye. He'd scream and he'd curse and he'd shake his fist at the sky. He was frustrated, mad and angry, and he didn't even know why. Looking back through his mind, he couldn't seem to find the reason for his plight, but he continued to fight. He fought with himself, he fought with life. He fought with much turmoil and with great strife. He fought in the country, he fought in the town. The people hated him and didn't want him around. They fitted him with shackles and secured him with chains. They took him to the tombs in the spring rains. He peeled back the bands with his bare hands, and the shackles were twisted and mangled. The chains were strained and tangled. He turned to see his captors flee. They feared for their lives. They ran home to their wives. But he still wasn't happy, nor was he free. He screamed with a vengeance and attacked an old tree. With blood spatters he was stained. He stood abandoned as it rained. He contemplated what to do. Then he remembered he wasn't through. He was back to the village to steal and to pillage. He said, life, what is life? It's filled with struggle and it's filled with strife. Why can't I live in town with children and a wife? Instead I live among the tombs, not in a house with nice rooms. When morning finally came, everything seemed to be the same. But he didn't head into town because someone new had come around. Jesus stepped out of the boat and onto the shore with 12 guys, maybe more. Something was different, something was right. He didn't even feel like picking a fight. There was no fear, there was no fright. Deep on the inside, he knew everything would be all right. So he left his cave, trying his best to behave, but he couldn't get his body to work, and his mind was going berserk. So he ran and he jumped and he howled. Coming out of the tombs, he looked pretty wild. He didn't know how to be cool. He was known as the dangerous fool. Without a thing to wear, covered with blood and matted hair, a terrible war was raging in his head. "You can't go down there," a guttural voice said. He ran down the hill to meet him, not knowing if Jesus would greet him. The answer was yes indeed. Jesus said, "I have what you need." The demons were out and Jesus was in. The man was happy and free from his sin. Jesus' men helped him get dressed in real clothes. He felt like a new man from his head to his toes. He told Jesus, "I'll go anywhere, I'll do anything. Where are we going? What should I bring?" "I'm going to ask you to go back into town." They asked me to leave. They don't want me around. He said, "Jesus, can you believe? I can stay, but you must leave." I think they're just upset about all that pork. They were going to roast it and eat it with a fork. Jesus said, "Father can work through you, my friend. This is your beginning and not your end. Walk right into town and spread your story all around. Tell them how it used to be. Tell them about when you attacked the tree. Show them how to jump and dance and relish their life. Tell them to enjoy their kids and love their wife. Go especially to find the sick and the frail. Give them great hope that they will not fail." He told them, Jesus is coming back real soon. Don't wait for the change of the moon. Watch for his boat down by the sea. He can make it work for you, like he did for me. The people of the village, they believed. Why, look at the madman. He's certainly received. They placed a lookout down by the shore. That's not all, I must tell you a bit more. When Jesus did return and walk up the beach, He didn't have to search for some place to preach. The entire village came out to greet him. Everyone and his brother wanted to meet him. They asked him to come and heal their sick. Come to our village, come real quick. The woman with an issue made her way through the crowd. She wasn't noisy and she wasn't loud. She gently pushed and she squeezed. She even got down and crawled on her knees. She reached out her hand and brushed his cloak. It got so hot, she thought it would smoke. Did I get healed or am I having a stroke? Suddenly the master stopped and he spoke. Who touched me and received my power? She told her story for the next hour. Jairus, patiently waiting in the crowd, he didn't get mean and he didn't get loud. But the people moved so slow, and Jairus didn't know that his daughter, sick in bed, was no longer with us. Now she was dead. Then his servant came with the news of her death. Your daughter has breathed her last breath. You no longer have to bother the master. You should have hurried and come a little faster. Jairus staggered and he reeled. He wanted so much for her to be healed. Jesus said, don't worry, just believe. And from the Father you shall receive. It took all his effort to try and walk and block out all the people's talk. Coming to his house, they found everyone weeping. But Jesus told them, don't cry, she is only sleeping. They laughed at Jesus, so he put them out. The compassionate teacher carried a lot of clout. When everyone else had gone, except Peter, James, and John, Jesus invited father and mother to stay, and they quietly followed with nothing to say. Finding themselves by her bed, a glance confirmed she was dead. Jesus reached out and took her by the hand. He gave a quiet but powerful command. He told her, arise, and much to their surprise, she jumped out of bed and began to talk. Can I have something to eat? Can we go for a walk? Receiving his daughter back to life, Jairus celebrated with his wife. That little village down by the sea owed a lot to the man who was set free. If it weren't for the man and his mission, who obeyed Jesus without demanding a position, they would have never heard the good news. They would have just sat by the sea singing the blues.